Hello, teacher friends. Welcome to the Beyond Measure podcast, home of your weekly shout out of solidarity from me, Christina Whitlock. I am your host and self-appointed anytime piano teacher friend. And oh man, do I have a treat for you today. My real-life teacher friend, Amy Chaplin, is joining me for my fourth ever installment in a series I call What is Working in This Season? If you don't already know, I have two favorite reflection questions I try to ask myself regularly. They are, what is working and what is not working? I keep track of these questions in a note in my phone, adding to it anytime inspiration strikes. And last February, I started sharing quarterly glimpses into my list here on Beyond Measure. You can check out the first three installments in episodes 157, 170, and 186. Those will be linked in today's show notes, along with many of the things discussed in today's episode. Today, rather than giving you my list solo, I thought it would be twice the fun to invite Amy Chaplin of Piano Pantry here to share her thoughts as well. Together, we are each providing you a peek into our list of what is working for us in this season of life. As an added bonus, we will be tackling the flip side of this question, what is not working for us in this season of life, on Amy's 150th episode of the Piano Pantry podcast. That episode releases on Tuesday this week, so make sure you are subscribed to both of our shows in your podcast app of choice so you never miss a moment of our conversation. As always, I am sharing my insights as to what's working in this season for me in hopes that you will make your own list. Learning to pay attention to these things and name them regularly has absolutely changed the way I approach my life over the last several years. I don't expect you to find our insights particularly profound, but I do hope you take time to ask yourself what would make your list of things that are working for you in this season of your life. And now, friends, no more delay. I present to you episode 198 of the Beyond Measure podcast. Amy Chaplin of Piano Pantry fame, welcome back to the Beyond Measure podcast. I'm so excited to talk about my favorite of all time reflection questions. What is working in this season of life / this whole year? Some of mine are a little bit more reflective of the whole year. So I'm curious. You're my guest. I'm going to let you go first.
We're going to dive right into it. Let's do it.
We're diving right in.
I'm excited. How many of these have you done, by the way, like of these types of episodes? Because I don't think it's the first.
No, I started in February and I've tried to do one every quarter.
Every quarter. That's a good way of doing it. Yeah. I love it. They're some of my favorites. Okay. So what is working? This very first one is kind of specific to teaching, and it is playing pieces in full more often for my students outside of when they're just like first picking out the piece or when we're just first starting to learn it. So I don't know, I maybe started this 2 or 3 months ago. I just kind of realized, gosh, like when students are learning a piece, you play it for them, you talk about things, they decide if they like this piece or this piece better, yada, yada, yada. They hear it. And then you're working on the piece and you might be playing small snippets for them. But I realized I was rarely ever playing the whole thing again for them. And I've been trying to do that a little bit more often. And I think it's just really helpful to get in their ear what the end product could be sounding like. So just the other day, I had a student that was actually, she knew the piece really well. She'd make really good progress that week. And she was like, Miss Amy, I can play this, but I'm just suddenly like really nervous and I'm stumbling a lot. And I said, okay, let's just take a little brain break and you just step aside and I'm going to play it for you. And you just close your eyes and listen. And that'll just kind of help you refocus. And so I did. And then she sat down and did just fine.
I love that so much. It fits right into what I'm always saying about we need to play more for our students. And you are so right. I'm very guilty of like, I'll give them a full run early on and then I never play it for them again. So, oh, you've really got me thinking. That's really good, Amy.
It's funny how little things like that, like you suddenly have this realization like, oh yeah, like why wouldn't I have done that more often?
Yeah. Well, okay. That's really fascinating. And I have one that can tie right into that.
Okay, so give it to me. What's your first one?
So this last few weeks, like as of this recording date, we're up to our eyeballs in the holiday season and we're all a little worn out and our students are a little worn out. And I have realized that I don't have my usual level of patience and energy and these deep wells of mental reserves that I usually do. And so I don't know why, but I've found it so beneficial just to spend more time playing in the lesson. And so we're working on holiday tunes right now. And I've been doing a ton of just playing along with them, like just chording along with them from a second piano and just playing the lesson away. Like I'm just talking as little as I can, and we're just playing and we're playing and we're playing. And again, with the idea of playing more in a lesson, I don't know, it's really giving me a little bit more life. It's saving me from having to be so on the whole time during the lesson. And it's really musically beneficial. So I've really enjoyed that. So,
oh yeah, and this time of year is a great time to do it, especially like you said with doing Christmas tunes. And I mean, you can sing along to it. You can have them just play chords. So much that you can do with it.
Yeah. Well, look at us. Those first 2 points worked out really well.
Woo! See, we go together like two peas in a pod.
We do. In all the ways. All right. What's your second thing that's working right now, Amy?
Number 2 is burning candles more frequently.
Okay.
So I recently reread a book. I try to reread books, not as often as I would like. My goal is maybe once a quarter, but usually it's like maybe 2 a year. Anyway, so I recently reread a book called The Little Book of Hygge. It's Danish Secrets to Happy Living. And I've shared this book on the blog or on Friday Finds before. I can't remember exactly where. But it's by the CEO of the Happiness Research Institute.
Right.
But it's just such a cozy little book. It's the writing is really small. So if you are struggling like me to read without having to remove your glasses and you don't want to get bifocals quite yet, just know you might need a magnifying glass. Actually, I loaned the book to my dad recently. Our family has always struggled with depression on his side of the family, and he was at my house and he saw that, The Secret to Happiness. He's like, "Can I read that book?" And so when I gave it to him after I finished, I was like, "Now, Dad, just FYI, you're probably going to need magnifying glasses because the text is so small."
Interesting.
Anyways, that was like a whole side story. One of the things, like the very first thing in the book that he talks about is just how dark it is in Denmark throughout the year, and that something like 80% of Danes burn at least 5 candles every single day. So
really?
Yeah, I've been trying to not just even burn 1 candle, but like at dinner time when we have people over, I'll put 3 candles on the table. And I try to burn a candle every evening when we're just around in the living room. And not just like when people are here, like let it be something that I can enjoy as well. So burning more candles more frequently is working really well for me right now.
That is great. And I'm assuming, since you have so many going on at once and they're like at the dinner table and things, are they mostly unscented? Like, do you burn unscented candles or?
Yeah, here's my little thing on scented candles right now. I feel like I cannot ever smell them. Like, I don't care how good it smells. I can never smell it in my own house. And I'm sure it's just the whole, like, you get used to it feeling. I don't know if candles just wear out. I mean, like I have some good ones that I've bought recently and I just can't even smell them. So I don't really worry about the scent. Some of them are scented, some are not. They're mixed scents,
There's a fun trivia piece for Amy Chaplin is that she doesn't smell her scented candles.
Maybe it's my nose. Who knows?
That's a really good one. Here's one that I feel like you'll love. I recently just bought more chargers for my devices. I guess I have always felt like one phone charger is enough and I would like unplug it and move it to whatever location I needed. And
you're kidding.
I know. I knew you would love this. Yeah, that's how my brain worked. I thought, why would I buy another phone charger? But one day I finally was like, I'm going to buy a couple more phone chargers. And I bought a different charger for my laptop. because at my desk, I have it like wired in, and it's a pain if I have to pull it out and work somewhere else. And oh my gosh, has that changed my life? Like just having more chargers, because I charge things more often because they're more convenient. And then my phone isn't always dying, and all those things. So, see.
Bravo. Very good one. And I'll just tell you, I have 4 laptop chargers around my house. One on my work
Wow.
desk, one over by my teaching area, one next to my reading chair, and then one on our couch where I sit sometimes. Because sometimes I'll just sit with my laptop and work in both places. So I was the same way. I was moving the charger around all the time, and I'm like, I'm not going to do this. So
Of course, you're still outnumbering me, but
yeah,
I knew you'd be proud of me.
I am proud of you. So proud.
All right, what's your third?
All right, my third one is teaching related, and that is actually helping students more intentionally to write their own notes on their own music. And I have been so back and forth with this over the years. I remember writing a blog post on my Piano Pantry blog probably at least 5 years ago, and it was something about just little teaching moments like this that I learned lessons about. And one of them back then was not being the one to always write the stuff on the students' music. But then, of course, you kind of get away from things, you forget, yada, yada, yada. It's faster to do it yourself.
Yes.
I feel like I almost need to teach them how to do it, because sometimes I'll say, what's something that you could write there to help you not make that same mistake next time? And they're like, I don't know. How can I write it? So sometimes I'll be like, okay, so maybe you could write the name of the note or the finger number or a reminder for yourself to pause or something like that. So I feel like it's helping to be a little bit more intentional about helping them think through what they could write and not doing it myself. Like, okay, there's a pencil there. Go ahead and pick it up and make a note for yourself. Hopefully, the more I do it, it will become more intuitive for them. And then the goal is that they do it at home too. So
Exactly. Okay, that's very convicting also. I did have that aha moment with my group classes over the last couple of years where I realized, first of all, logistically, I can't make all of these notes for 4 people when I have them here at once. And so I did have to train myself to be more proactive with them tracking their assignments and making their notes and all those things. And I'm definitely guilty of doing it in the lesson. But sometimes the notes we make and the way that we remind ourselves of things are not the way our students think about them. So for me, my teachers growing up, if I needed to remember to slow something down, we would draw a backwards arrow, right? And so I intuitively do that. And sometimes I forget to remind my students what that actually means. That's a really good point. Ooh,
yeah, and the way
good.
that they think about things is not the way that we may think about things. So
Yeah.
but I also think
sure.
it's good too for them to know if they're going to write the finger number in, it goes above the right hand or below the left hand. Sometimes they'll want to write it like right next to the note or something. And well, I mean, you can do that, but notice on the page where the rest of them are written. So just trying to get them to notice things in the music like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, this relates to teaching. I was just talking about this on Instagram this week, but every year in the month of December, I record all of my students playing a holiday something, and then I spend hours that week leading into Christmas editing these videos into these cute little like video messages, and I text them out to the parents, and I love it because the parents love it and the kids look cute and the videos look great. But I started trying to record some of my students on Monday of this week, and several of them just weren't ready. They weren't ready to record yet. We just had a recital before Thanksgiving there, so we've been a different timeline than usual. And I was starting to get really stressy about it. And I just heard this little voice say, what if you didn't record the Christmas greetings this year? Like, what if you just didn't do this whole project? And I was just like, ah. And I thought, okay, so I love this thing. The parents love this thing, but I'm just going to take the year off. And I can still love it and we can still do it again next year. But like internally, it has done some magic for me just to say, no thanks.
And you know what? The odds are most of your studio families may not even notice, or they're not even going to say anything. And like
Yep.
you said, you just did something really big. So you just can't do it all the time, right?
Exactly.
Actually, I have that on my to-do list because I've heard you talk about that and I think, oh, such a great idea. You know, I love that. I'm going to do that. So it popped up this year on my annual thing to do in December. And I keep looking at it going, oh my gosh, when am I going to do that? When am I going to do that? And I think I'm just going to have to let it go. Like, And that's like such the world of teachers where there are so many
Mhm.
amazing ideas out there.
Yes.
And you just can't do all the amazing ideas, and we
Yep.
don't need all the amazing ideas to make our teaching good either. So, anyways, kudos to you for learning how to let go and being good with it.
Well, I always credit you as my voice in life to remind us that we can do things differently season to season, and
Yes,
it's totally fine. So,
totally fine.
okay, you got another one for us,
I
Amy?
do. All right, so my next one is what's working for me, surprisingly, is drinking a little less coffee.
Hmm.
Not that I was a big coffee drinker ever. I've always been just like a 1 cup a day girl. Two, if it's super cold out or I'm super tired. But I'm also the kind that has to like reheat it 5 times to finish my cup.
Yeah.
But as I'm getting older, I'm having acid reflux issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's hereditary. My mom has it really bad. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just I cut out coffee. I maybe only have a cup twice a week, maybe just for the weekends or something like that. But I've been drinking hot water, which my
Yep.
husband thinks is totally weird,
Yep.
but I kind of like it. I mean, it's more psychological. Like I just like the
Yes.
feeling of something warm, and if it doesn't have flavor to it, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll drink a few teas. I've never been a huge tea person, but I like I've got like a chocolate chai or fireside vanilla, just some of those herbal teas
Mm.
I'm trying. And then I did try a non-alkaline coffee from my local health food store. It's called Bio Coffee. And I actually really like it. It almost has a mocha flavor to it. Not
Mm.
really chocolatey, but it does have like a non-dairy dry powder creamer in it. It just comes in these little individual sachets, and then you just add hot water to it. And I really like it. So I actually just bought a container of it yesterday. I've had a couple samples around, and it even has like wheatgrass in it, so supposed to also be really good for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's working, and I'm okay with it. Like I don't super miss the coffee every single day. So
I have done my stints with this. I went a solid, I don't know, a little over a year with no coffee at all for same reasons, like my
yes, I remember
insides.
you telling me about that.
Yeah. And I too am a big fan of hot water. I think I started drinking it after Leela Viss talked about drinking hot water. I don't know. But once you get over the initial expectation, to me, this time of year, I just need something warm to drink
Yeah,
and something warm in my hands. And so it totally
yeah.
works.
I
But
started drinking the hot water after we had our little MTNA gathering for the
oh,
online conference. Remember that? I think it was
hmm
2022, maybe.
hmm
Um, and our friend Joy Morin, who was there with us, she was drinking hot water.
right.
That's where I remember getting it from was Joy. So
Oh, fun. All the piano teachers are in the know now.
yeah. All right. What's your number 4, Christina?
Okay. Well, thinking about kitchen related things, I have Amy Chaplin here. We have to talk about food and kitchen stuff, right?
Yep.
So I kind of just lumped all this together. But in my very first episode of What's Working in this season, I think it was episode 157, but I talked about the fact that dinner doesn't have to be a production, like especially for those of us who teach late evenings, and how small dinners are really completely sufficient and fine. And so this is kind of not the opposite, but I'm finding out if I have a breakfast that's prepared for me ahead of time, like I just feel so cared for. And even if it's me that's preparing it, which it is, I'll bake off a quiche on a Monday morning and then I have like little bits of it to eat throughout the week. And that is so nice. I just love that. So I know you're not a big breakfast person, but
But
that works for
leftovers,
me.
even just having stuff in the
Yes.
fridge, even if it's for dinner, having leftovers. I mean, we've been
Mm-hmm.
eating off of our Thanksgiving leftovers, and we had family lunch on Sunday, and we're eating off of those leftovers this week. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something so nice about feeling like, okay, there's something I don't have to do. And I can eat
Exactly.
well because we all can pick at things and snack our way through a meal, but it's nice to have something ready to go.
That's a good one. All
All
right.
right.
Ready for my last one?
Ready.
So, my last one is I have been feeling just a little bit of anxiety and anxiousness recently, just with lots of things going on. I don't have to go into details,
Oh,
but I've been just having to tell myself, you just need to focus on the one thing that needs to happen next. Like I'm trying to let my mind not think about the long list of things that might be in my day, but what is the very next thing that you have to do right now? And that's been
mhm.
really helping mentally to not let myself feel totally overwhelmed. Even just in things like around the house, like, okay, I've got to unload the dishwasher and I need to start a load of laundry and go make the bed, yada, yada, yada. And feeling like I only got 20 minutes to do this and this is all I want to get done. Like, I have to tell myself, okay, if you don't get it all done, it's okay. Just do the next thing and get what you can. And it doesn't matter if you don't do all those little things. So, anyways, that's how I'm staying sane right now.
That is such a good one, and the struggle of my life, Amy. Similarly, years and years ago, I had read someone talking about completing the cycle, where because I tend to get really distracted in the midst of one thing because I'm thinking about the next thing I have to do. And so even when it comes to doing the dishes or doing the laundry, like completing the cycle is this way to just think of like, all right, let me finish this thing before I start the next thing. So yes.
It's so easy to be unloading the dishwasher. And then I look up and I see this thing that's sitting over here that needs put away. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go put that away.
Yes.
And then I come back, oh wait, I didn't finish putting away the dishwasher. You know?
Yes.
Like silly little things like that. And it's the same with me with reading. And that's why I learned years ago, I cannot read multiple books at once. I have to, I'm reading this book and I'm going to complete it if I'm going to complete it, because I've got good about dropping books when I don't like them. But yeah, I'm going to complete it before I start another one, because I cannot have multiple ones going on, or it just makes me feel like I have too much of a to-do list that I can't complete.
Yeah. You and I both host power hours for our Patreon communities, and we state our intention at the top of the hour, right? I'm going to work on fill in the blank. And then like, it's like the grown-up version of that. If you give a mouse a cookie book that kids read, like if you give a mouse a cookie, it's going to need some milk, and then it's going to need this, and then, you know, and I feel like that's my life.
That's how it was today.
Time.
Like we just had it right before this. We had our power hour, and like I was going to work on writing my next monthly email to my subscribers, but I've got just a couple things on my desk that have been sitting here for like 2 months, and it's coming into Christmas. I want to clear it off. So I'm like, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to reply to one email that I need to reply to. Well, guess what? The whole hour was gone and I never even got to the email. Like it took the whole time to just do those 3 little things. Like it was crazy. I'm like, what the heck?
Yep. That was the story of my Monday power hour too. I really just felt like one task that was supposed to take 2 minutes ended up taking most of the hour. And I was like, what is this?
Yep.
But you're so smart. Just focus on the next thing.
All right. That's the end of my list. So how about your final thing?
Oh, I'll get gushy for a second. So this is my year-end reflection of what worked, right? So one of my favorite things is traveling to teacher events with my friend Amy Chaplin. We have such a good time. And I've been thinking about this the last several trips we've taken together, where it's like in your adult life, there are so few people that you brush your teeth next to in the mornings. It's like your spouse, and that's about it, right? Yeah. And so it's such a pleasure to have people that you are comfortable with and that you have so much in common with. And if there's anything in the teacher world that I wish for my colleagues, it's just to have friends and colleagues that you can be yourself with and open up with and bounce ideas off of and all of that. So I'm just so thankful for you and my other teacher friends and my Patreon community, who is just full of some of the best people I've ever met. So you're all working for me,
Christina.
You knew I'd go there.
I love you
too. So this is really exciting because we just covered things that are working for us. And the flip side of this question, of course, is what is not working in this season.
You got to hear it all.
Yeah, that's always a little juicy, right? Like what's not working is always so fun. So I usually just send that out to email subscribers. But this time, you and I are going to talk about this tomorrow, if you're listening in real time, on your 150th episode of the Piano Pantry podcast. So everyone will have to go check out the juicy what's not working list. So thanks for being here again with us, Amy. You are always a pleasure and such a light to our teacher community. So fun, right, friends? As I said at the top of today's episode, more than anything, I really hope our conversation has inspired you to make your own list of what is working for you in this season of your life and maybe what is not. Amy and I are going to tackle that other side of this question on her 150th episode of the Piano Pantry podcast, so be sure to check that out tomorrow. You can head to ChristinaWhitlock.com/episode 198 for links to all the things discussed in today's episode. Again, that's ChristinaWhitlock.com/episode 198. This is the last full-length episode of the podcast for 2024, but don't worry, I'll still be popping into your podcast feed over the next few weeks with a few extended toasts for the holiday season. I hope your season is full of joy and peace and rest for you. We all know musicians need all the rest we can get in the month of December. Until next time, my friends, onward and upward as we journey through the end of 2024.